Bridging Borders and Barriers, Advancing Equitable Clinical Research Discussion. It's going to be led by Dr. Anita Campos. She's originally studied in infectious disease, but has been involved in rare disease for many years, is a strategic medical lead, and now director of Laboratorios Biopaz in Brazil. We're also have on the panelist Dr. Luis Squiquera, and Dr. Luis is a CMO for our CMO for Farmacon Global, but has been involved as a PI, been in preclinical, postclinical, consults in pharmacovigilance. He's a professor and has done so many different things. You guys learned about Dr. Charles and Dr. José, and then also Arturo Rodriguez Jacob, who is the founder and CEO of Infinite, which we mentioned earlier, is also on the panel. So with that, I think if we could ask anybody who is not on the panel to put their face in and audio and mute, and we will take it away with Anita. Thank you, Anita.
Hi, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here in this Rare DIEM 2025. So a pleasure to be working with Farmacon, like leading and executing many rare disease clinical trials in Latin America, and very happy to talk to these wonderful experts today. So I just ask the panelists to answer like 1-2 minutes so we cannot stay behind the schedule. So I would like to start with Dr. José asking why is Latin America still unrepresented in early phase trials, and what practical steps can be taken to improve regulatory efficiency and foster regional collaboration? José?
Hi, Anita. Well, in my opinion, the principal actor, China, has a different advantage over the rest in the world. You can see the results currently. Well, in my opinion, is building a strong regulatory office. So one regulatory office, similar to EMA in Europe, for example, is a good point. The second point is, the way of the characteristics in Latin America. Latin America is a region, working on phase 3 trials. We need to change the mindset of the sponsors and CROs. Latin America could work in one phase trials, for example. And the third part is, we need doctors with adequate experience in phase 1 trials and capacity in buildings. You need hospitals or health institutions with experience in this kind of trials. In Latin America, probably Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina have this kind of offices. But the rest of the countries, in general, in my opinion, this is the principal task in the future.
Okay, understood. And I agree that we have a lot to really improve in regulatory efficiency, trying to make this maybe a regional collaboration to improve timelines. That will be crucial. So Luis, good morning. Happy to see you here today. So we know Luis has a large experience leading complex clinical programs in Latin America. So Luis, in your opinion, what operational and scientific factors make Latin America ideal for rare disease trials? And what is still holding us back?
Hi, Anita. How everybody? We have two main issues. One is our genetic composition, that it depends on the country. You have different immigrations or native population and everything. So that will make us ideal from one point. And but we also have another issue that goes against that, and this is what is holding us back, is how the population is distributed in our countries. And we have a large population that has no access to health, institutions. So, for example, rural populations that may be having a certain disease, and those type of population are living very far from a hospital or any institution that is giving health services, but also it has to be that that institution is also running research trials. And regarding the issue of having more clinical trials, one of the questions we have to ask is if we are not getting a steady state, because we don't have too many professionals that are in capacity of participating or becoming a PI for some reason. And in that case, it's very interesting what Charles is doing in Brazil, that is promoting several ways of doctors to become more acquainted with clinical trials and are getting into clinical research. So we have two main issues in this equation. One is the amount of professionals, and the other one is how to reach the affected populations.
Yes,
The-
okay, it's real challenge, Luis. So just coming back to your point, saying that sometimes for a special rare disease, we have some populations that has like a high prevalence of this disease, but they are very far from,
yeah,
for example, an experienced clinical trial that could be able to run that study.
and
So I think
yeah,
one
we are
of the
talking.
challenges, yeah, is find a way to like to get there and bring those patients to be included in the clinical trials so they can benefit of the new technologies for their disease.
Exactly. And another thing is helping these patients to get to our research site. For these complex diseases, the better way to get a proper healthcare is through a trial, because it's more comprehensive. They're going to have a better care in any way. So we have to be clear about this issue that not only promoting clinical research, it's good for finding new cures for certain diseases, but also to provide clinical services to a population that is well underrepresented.
Yes, exactly. So Arturo, are you here? I don't think I can see you in the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Arturo.
Hi.
Good morning. Thanks
Good
for
morning.
being here with this discussion with you today. So Arturo, I would like to know from you what frameworks or practices would you recommend to ensure that clinical research results in real equitable access to therapies for rare disease patients, especially amid rising health litigation and data sovereignty concerns?
Yes, in my opinion, all the companies that is working in clinical research has a big challenge because they have a lot of points that they need to clarify previously that you have or do you put in ongoing one protocol. In my opinion, the principal challenge is that the financial sustainability of the studies is necessary that you have business models that combine public and private funds as well as international collaboration, because I think one company is impossible to obtain one benefit or one research only if they don't have all these lines to help to continue working. Another is promote the innovation, because we need platforms that they permit that the clinics research and patients collaborating in general data that they permit to identify the patients or the information that they permit to establish an ecosystem that we obtain the information. Pay attention in the patient that they need is to obtain more focus in the objectives that we need to research, because sometimes the clinic is very specific, the research that they need to do, but not in other cases is not necessary that the necessities to the patient that they need. Or create the decentralization database that they permit to establish that all the stakeholders has the information and they can use in the potential establish new challenge and maintain the data confidentiality and ethical consideration. I think that there are the other challenge that we need to have, because when we started to do the interaction or the network of the information, sometimes we lost the confidentiality and the ethical that we need to pay attention for the subject.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. So since we are running with time, I would like to also ask Dr. Charles Schmidt. Hi, Charles. Very nice to have you here with us today. So your presentation was really very impressive, and we would like to thank you for all the things you were doing for Brazil in terms of newborn screening and stimulating the practice of rare disease clinical trials here. So how can bioethical principles like justice and autonomy guide us in designing rare clinical trials that are truly equitable, especially in regions like Latin America with high diagnostic delay and limited healthcare access? This is a difficult question.
I think the most important aspects I start speaking about autonomy because of the social disparity. Some of our governments try to protect the people who have more special needs or poorer of the population. So we know that these people has true autonomy when they can understand what aspects of a clinical trial represents for them, and also to access a possible treatment or more better quality of life. This is what we are seeing, and this is one of great discussions that we had during to approve the law in clinical trials, that the question about social control in doing clinical trials, saying that the poor people cannot understand what it is a clinical trial. This is one most important aspects that we work at, because when they can understand, also because most population in Latin America has access for cell phones. There are much more information available, and it's a question to explain. And when you discuss with this population and associations of patients, they want to know the diagnostic of the rare disease. This is the most difficult part for this population, to obtain a diagnostics of the disease of their children. So this is very important for us doing clinical trials, to have access to clinical trials, because they need to understand and believe that they have autonomy. They really understand. It's a question how you present the risks and benefits participating in clinical trials. And coming to justice we have to understand in another term of social responsibility. This is the question of justice regarding clinical trials. Social responsibilities, more compassion to participate in a clinical trials, and provide, as I mentioned, equity to great opportunities. So if we don't have more clinical trials in the regions in these aspects, we can provide increased information on cost benefits of treating those patients. And I think this is what we've been working in, according to our institution, Clemente, and other institutions, to provide with the government these actions to provide more understanding about clinical trials.
Yes, and Charles, this question is not here, but I think it's very important to address is the voice of the patient. So we know that finally an initiative from the sponsors are calling patients to work on the design of rare disease clinical trials. And how do you see this initiative being initiated in Latin America, like patients being part of discussion of the designs and also being part of the ethical committees that will evaluate the ethics of the rare disease clinical trials? Is it through patients' associations or the patients individually? How are you seeing this great movement that I think it's very important to happen when we think about initiating a rare disease clinical trial?
I think it's through both movements for each family and also association. For sure, all patient associations have a strong presence. And understanding the industry, and physicians always say that they are looking for the cure, but most of the time, this family just want to have a better quality of life or extend the life of their sons or parents or somebody else. So they need to understand the expectation of the populations of the patients. To be very quick, I remember my father that also was a pediatrician, and he was treating a patients with Tay-Sachs. There is a disaster disease, and I was very young pediatrician, and I say, why don't you say the reality of the evolution of the patient? And my father came to me and say, who are you to say this baby is not survive? Because clinical trials is a hope. It's a hope for everybody. So it's not just the treatment. The hope is part of the treatment doing a clinical trial.
Okay, but at the end, do you see, for example, in Brazil, ethical committees, especially the National Ethical Committee, seeing the importance of patients or patient association participating in the discussion of clinical trials, design and approval?
Yes, and also to approve the drugs to our health system. Nowadays, they request the presence of association of patient or participation of patient to also have the voice to say if it's going to be incorporated or not incorporated in our health system. So has changed and is being changed very fast, this kind of view.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a very important step that is really happening now.